What's up, fam?
You already know what this is.
Welcome to the Strong and Sexy Show.
I'm your host, Ben Pruitt.
And I'm Megan Nunez. And here we're going to dive into everything you need to know in fitness and health, no bullshit included.
So if you're ready to stop wasting your goddamn time and finally start seeing results,
then get your ass inside because we got a value-packed episode waiting for you. Let's get it.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode. We are so excited to have you here for the Strong and Sexy Show. This is episode 4 for you guys, and we're super excited to bring this one to you guys. So we actually got a good one today. We've been getting a lot of questions. There's been a lot of assumptions that are made in the fitness industry, like a lot of myths even that are running about the fitness industry. So today we are going to go over 5 topics that we have found to, be a little bit controversial, some.
I was going to say the same thing. Controversial.
Some are, some have some truth to them. Some have a little bit misinformation beyond them. And our goal is just to help clear that up for you guys so you guys can have a better understanding of how all this works. We're going to try to make it as simple as possible for you. So we are going to be talking about 5 fitness misconceptions or fitness myths in the industry. And so we're going to start out right away with number 1.
Ooh.
Number 1. Now, I'm going to let Megan take this one because this is a big one. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God.
Yeah, we're going to let you take this one.
I'm nervous.
All right. So, the first myth, the more you feel the burn on your glutes, the bigger your booty's going to get.
The number of times I hear this from people and clients, they're trying to fight me for their program and saying like, I don't feel this on my booty burning. Like I don't feel the contraction on this more. And
what is a burn before? Like, what do you mean when people say like a burn in the muscle? What does that mean?
So burning on your muscles is essentially, okay, we have 2 different muscle fibers, correct? One of them is training for strength. One of them is training for endurance and your stamina. So when you are feeling the burn, you are actually training endurance and stamina. So when you are trying to build muscle, you need to train for strength, and that's how you actually maximize muscle, like the size of it. You need to train for strength. So, and this is why like a lot of women make the mistake of chasing after the burn to feel, but to grow their glutes. And you see this all over social media where, fitness influencers would post like their workout routine, like glute booty burning routine. Like you see that everywhere. And of course, like they look nice, like they have a booty. And people that are uneducated about this topic or don't know anything about fitness or don't know where to start think that, okay, this is the way. Like if this person is posting a glute burning workout and have glutes like that, that means I have to do the same thing. So, and I've talked about this many times, like on my videos as well, how chasing after the burn isn't really going to serve you if your goal is to grow a fucking dump truck, because again, like your body, not your body, but your muscle feels the burn at the top peak contraction, right? And using an example, if you just only focus on the peak contraction of the muscle when you're exercising, you're not really training for strength, right? So
it's like you have to train through the full range of motion.
Yes.
Yeah.
So a good example, let's say you're doing like donkey kickbacks. You're going to feel it burning when you're just kicking it at the top part of the movement so many times with lighter weights. But does this mean that your glutes are going to grow doing that? No, right? You have to take it through where it's lengthened. Again, challenge it through that, and also challenge it when it's contracted, where it's shortened. And
I want to add in, like, I think there is, like, when it comes to the peak contraction, like, yes, contractions are important, and getting the muscle into a full contraction does help it grow. However, studies have been showed that you get more stimulus in the stretch from going from the stretch position to the contracted position. So if you're shortening the reps and not getting a full stretch, you're leaving a lot of gains on the table.
Yep. A lot of the times too with this glute burning exercises is they don't really utilize rest times. Like they're very short. They're like circuit training and they feel the burn. But again, when it comes to maximizing building muscle, you actually need to utilize like your rest in between your sets, because the goal here to increase muscle mass is to make sure that you're putting in quality work on your reps the moment you finish your what's it called, your rest time in between, right? And if you're, I don't know, resting for like 30 seconds and you're lifting heavy ass weight, what makes you think that you're gonna put in quality work the next time?
Right.
So it's like you need to utilize that rest in between, and the goal again to maximize muscle size is to increase your strength.
Right. And so I think a lot of the times is when you do these high rep, high intensity exercises, what typically happens, and these are great for cardio, but what typically happens is you get fatigued faster than you stimulate the muscle. So you're going super, super fast. You're going like basically getting your heart rate up and your body's just like, holy shit, this burns like crazy. And then you get tired before you get to the point where your muscle is just fully actually stimulated. So you want to make sure that you have a good stimulus to fatigue ratio, and you want to make sure that you are getting more stimulus before you hit a higher level of fatigue.
Yeah, and you're also, again, the shorter rest times, like the peak contraction of the muscle, and not taking it through its full range of motion, you're kind of giving your body the signal of doing cardio instead of strength training. And you see a lot of people do fucking kickbacks, banded kickbacks on the Stairmaster thinking, oh, I'm going to grow my glutes doing this, but that's not strength training. That's just you training your body through endurance and stamina. So you have to send the right signal to your body to actually grow muscle. And that also requires you to train right, progressive overload, implemented properly, executed properly by, again, taking your muscle through its lengthened position and shortened position as well.
Absolutely. I think that's a really good take, even now there is a time and a place, to kind of get a burn. I do believe, I just don't think that your whole workout workout session should be focused around these burning exercises. So like it might be good to, finish off a set with like an intensifier, for example, like if I do a bench press or a chest press and after my last set, I go into push-ups, like that's a good way to increase endurance, while the muscle is actually fatigued. But I don't want to be doing that for every single set on every single exercise, because then, we're just going to tear the muscle to shreds.
Yeah.
And it's going to take forever to recover.
Yeah. I to your point, like, glute finishers are great to just like get a good pump afterwards. So good example, let's say you did your glute day and you want to get that extra pump. So you can even do like frog pumps, and then you can superset that with some crab walks, banded crab walks, like do 30 seconds of each without rest in between. And that would like give you a good pump. But again, you don't need to focus solely on just feeling that burn throughout your exercises if your goal is to build muscle. And of course, like using resistance bands isn't bad either. Like there's a time and place for it. A lot of people use that for burning workouts, but you can use that for warming up. You can use that for mobility. You can use that for rehab. You can use that after your workout, again, like that finisher that we talked about. But you shouldn't do all of your exercises with bands on your legs, like if you're trying to feel that burn. And I've done a reaction video on this on someone who is trying to use resistance bands on all her exercises, and it doesn't make sense because again, you can't the resistance bands are basically holding you back from taking your muscle through that full range of motion. Because of that, again, you're not utilizing muscle growth. So burning is not, you shouldn't be chasing after the burn if your goal is to grow a fucking fat ass.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're trying to get fucking jacked and juicy, you want to make sure that you are lifting weights throughout the entire range of motion.
Yep.
Take that shit to failure, you know what I'm saying?
You can't take it to failure if you're using bands too.
Yeah. It's going to take a long time.
It's going to be harder for you to actually load weight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, all right. Cool.
Starting off strong.
All right. Number 2. Strength training as a female is going to make you bulky. Now, I got a lot to say about this because I just feel like,
Wait, let me actually start.
I just feel offended, but go ahead.
I was going to say the same thing. I'd be fucking offended if you think that the moment I started lifting dumbbells, I'd be fucking jacked and juicy.
Yeah, you're going to start looking like me all of a sudden.
I know. All of a sudden, it can't fit through a door frame.
Yeah. Because this just happens by accident.
I know. It's because you're shocking the muscles.
Yeah, all the time. We're doing all this weight. All of a sudden, everybody just gets jacked.
I know.
Everyone.
Well, take it away, Benjamin. Tell them more about.
Well, because here's the deal, guys. Like when it comes to building muscle and getting quote bulky, like that just means bulky means very muscular, right?
Yes.
That's what that means. And if you look at the majority of people in the gym, men and women, most people aren't bulky
They really
who
not.
lift weights,
Now that I think about it.
Most people who go to the
Yeah.
gym and lift weights every day aren't bulky. Now, there are some women out there who are fucking jacked, but they're training for that. So we have to understand that you get outcomes based on the specific modalities that you are training. So if you're training to get jacked, then you will more than likely get jacked as long as you have your nutrition and supplements on point. Like everything needs to be on point. Your recovery's on point. Everything's on point. But like if you're just going to the gym lifting weights without a program, if you're just a woman first week in the gym, and you just start working out, you don't have your program dialed in, you just start picking up some weights, you're not just gonna snap it all of a sudden and get huge. It takes
a lot.
Years.
A lot.
Like years. The people that you see that are bulky, like that are super muscular, have been doing this shit for years, and they dedicate their lives to it for the most part. It's like, I don't want to look like a bodybuilder.
I was gonna say
I don't want to look like a bodybuilder. The only people who want to look like bodybuilders are bodybuilders. You know what I'm saying?
I want to say, because coming from my experience, of course, like, again, majority of women have this fear, right? Coming from my experience of like general population training into bodybuilding training, it takes a lot of work. And I'm still not there yet. You know what I mean? I lift heavy shit. Like, I don't like lifting with baby dumbbells. I utilize proper form execution. I eat. I went through a fucking bulk, and Ben witnessed that. It was like, what, like a 10-month bulk? I ate a lot. I've never trained that hard in my fucking entire life. And I'm still, like, it's not a night and day difference from, like, someone who's coming into the gym into someone who's, like, fucking bulky as fuck. So it takes a lot of effort. Like, it really does.
Yeah, and it takes effort over a long period of time. And the reality is, most people aren't even willing to put in that effort for that long.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of people like, and I've seen it like, I'm trying to get fucking jacked. And it's just like, after like a year or so, they're just like, I just want to, do this to be healthy. And that's totally cool. But like, we have to look at the benefits of strength training and why you want to build muscle. Like at the end of the day, guys, a strong body is a healthy body. You don't want to be walking around, with a weak body. You don't want to be walking around with underdeveloped muscles when you're, 60, 70 years old. You want to like, again, like your body's covered in muscle, right? Pretty much. There's muscles everywhere attaching to all different joints and everything. So if you're training those muscles, if you're strengthening those muscles, it's going to lead to a healthier life. Now, I'm not saying you have to overdo it. I'm not saying that you have to, try to be fucking huge, but try to build some strength around your primary movements. Work on, compound movements like squats, shoulder presses, walking lunges, and some auxiliary movements as well around that focus on, specific muscles around the joints like triceps, biceps, specific quad exercises just to get some extra strength. But the purpose of lifting weights is, to get stronger. And a byproduct of that is, hypertrophy or muscle growth.
A byproduct of that too is living a longer life.
Yeah.
Longer lifespan. Like, think about like how you function on a day-to-day basis. If you have a weak core and you have a weak back and let's say you have a labor intensive job, you're gonna always have back pains. I know so many people from the job that I used to work at in a corporate 9 to 5 that like lift heavy boxes that literally have terrible back pain. And I think like wearing a brace is gonna fix it. It's not. Like, you literally,
it's like a Band-Aid.
It really is, yeah. So also, like, if you have kids, right? Let's say, or you plan to have kids one day, if you're like carrying your kid a lot, and how are you going to support that? If you like even just lifting groceries, like small things like that, like there's a lot of benefit when it comes to actually being strong in general. Yeah. And women protecting yourself, honestly. Like, it's a dangerous world out there, girls. So if you're stronger and you can fight a man like that, you have better chances of actually, not putting yourself in that position.
Yeah, exactly. And I think also just being strong builds confidence too.
That too.
Just like knowing that you have built strength, because at the end of the day, like there's some genetic outliers who are just born strong as fuck. But like, most people, you have to build your strength up, I started very weak and very small, and, putting yourself through that process of building strength, it just gives you that confidence that you can continue to, show up for yourself in other areas. Because at the end of the day, the shit is hard. It is hard to get strong.
It's really not easy, you guys.
Yeah.
Just think about the first time you like step in the weight room with like lighter weights,
Yeah.
and like think about how much weight you can lift now.
Yeah.
But again, that's like years of fucking work to actually get there.
Yep.
But yeah, like I want to say, like, don't be afraid to actually start strength training, because there's a lot of benefits to it, and it's not just about like physique. Like you don't need to, because a lot of people think like, oh, I only need to go to the gym and like build muscle if I'm trying to step on stage, or if I'm trying to be like a bodybuilder. But no, like it's just overall health.
Yep. Muscle's great. And at the end of the day, like it takes a lot of work to change your body composition. So it's just no, you don't need to worry about just going to the gym.
I wish it was that easy.
And I really do. I wish I could just go to the gym, pick up some weight, and all of a sudden
pick up 5 pounds and be like, all right, now let me step on stage. I'm a win overall,
you
period.
Know what I'm saying? Yeah, no. Yeah. It doesn't work that way. But there's many benefits to training. So females, like, don't
be afraid.
Do not skip out of your strength training. Don't be afraid to lift heavy.
To take up space.
And honestly, like, just as long as your form's on point, as long as you are progressively overloading and doing everything safely, like you're gonna be very happy with your results. And again, this also comes down to this: when you do strength trade, like a lot of y'all women want that toned look.
Yeah, you have to build muscle underneath that.
Yeah, you can't tone a muscle that ain't there.
You can't be. You literally. You literally cannot be fucking toned if you don't strength train.
Yeah.
And okay, think about this, because a lot of women are like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna get into Pilates. Mm-hmm. And of course there's different forms of movement, but if you really want to achieve that toned look, and I've seen a lot of people do this where they do like hybrid training. Mm-hmm. Like there's many ways for you to do movement, but you still need to challenge your muscle to actually build muscle. Mm-hmm. So it's not just like Pilates.
Yeah. Now Pilates can be helpful, but like, there's other ways to do it too.
Yeah. So get into it. All right. You're not going to get bulky, I promise.
Unless you have this conception of number 3. We're going to number 3 here.
Okay.
Unless you have this conception that peanut butter is a good source of protein, then you might...
you get too much protein.
You eat too much peanut butter thinking there's so much protein that you might end up a little heavy.
That's
you know what I'm saying?
So funny.
Well, we have heard, and this is common, that people are like, oh, I want some protein. I need some peanut butter.
I think a lot of people get this idea because when you look up on the internet, sources of protein, in Google, you see fucking peanut butter.
You see nuts.
Yeah, nuts. These nuts gonna give you protein. That's for sure.
These nuts gonna give you that protein.
Period. Pause.
All right. Peanut butter
is not
a solid source of protein.
It's really not.
So we have to look at the composition, right? Just because there is per serving, there is a good amount of protein per serving. Like there's 9 grams, 6 to 9 grams, depending on the protein that you get. But still, that's 6 to 9 grams of protein, whatever. That's like half of a solid serving. A solid serving of protein is like 25 grams, right? However, we have to look at what is making up the other calories in that protein. So just because you're getting 6 grams of protein per serving, you could have 3 servings and get 18 grams of protein, but guess how much fat you're going to get?
Guess how much calories that is?
So I don't know how much calories it is, but I know that off the top of...
2 tablespoons is like 190?
Is it?
Yeah.
Off the top of my head, I feel like 2 tablespoons is
28 grams is 190 calories.
So it's about 15 grams of fat.
Jesus.
Per 28 grams.
And how many calories is that?
15 grams of fat?
Yeah, 15 times.
15 times 9? Shit. 10 times 9. 90.
The math.
135 calories, and then you're only getting 24 calories from protein.
Jesus.
So you're getting like 4 to 5 times as much calories
it's
from
more so a
fat
source than a protein source.
Exactly. That's kind of the point that we are trying to make here. All those numbers that have been thrown around, but yeah, all we're trying to say here is that, peanut butter is primarily a fat source, and it's not a terrible fat source.
Yeah.
You know, peanut butter, almond butter, nut butter is not a terrible fat source.
I love almond butter.
Love it. But we have to be careful with it because there is this misconception. It's just like, oh, let me just like stock up on this peanut butter.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, like you're just like, oh, why am I gaining weight?
Yeah.
Why is this happening? I thought peanut butter was supposed to be healthy, which it is, but too much of anything is gonna cause you to gain weight. So just be mindful of the amount of nut butter that you are, you know, consuming on a daily basis.
I've also seen people use like PB Fit, like peanut butter powder. If you're trying to lose body fat, like of course you need to source out like any low calorie items. So I've seen a lot of people make like a high protein peanut butter recipe where they mix like PB Fit powder with like a peanut butter protein powder and then they mix it with water so they create this paste like that's a good protein source,
right?
Like
because
mixing
it's
it
low fat.
Yeah,
so you're getting the taste of peanut butter, which is fucking delicious. And you're getting the protein
from the
protein powder, and you're not getting the fat.
Yeah. So it fits better with your macros because it's helping you actually hit that protein goal, which a lot of people struggle with. And yeah, you save some calories from your fat.
Yep, absolutely. Because those fat calories add up so quick.
They
Again,
do.
you got to keep in mind, like
Even avocado.
right. So you like a gram of fat is 9 calories. A gram of protein and a gram of carbs are only 4. So you're getting twice as many calories per gram of fat as you are from any other macronutrient. So it's gonna add up so quickly.
Yeah, I just want to add into this because I mentioned avocado because I've seen a lot of people or girlies went through this phase of like, oh, let me just have an avocado toast. Like this is gonna help me like lose body fat and like. Bitch barely eats any source of protein.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure, like, because she's stacking up all that fat throughout the entire day, that she's more likely not even in a calorie deficit.
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, you guys, if your goal is to, like, lose body fat, you need to make sure that you're still in that calorie deficit. And you need to keep in mind with, like, the fat sources that you're actually using, peanut butter or avocado. Just make sure that it fits your numbers.
Yep.
Yeah. We're not saying that you can't have peanut butter or it's a bad food for you because it's high in fat. And it's going to cause you to be, over your calories possibly if you're not tracking. What we're saying is just make sure to adjust the serving size that fits your goal.
Absolutely. So look at that nutrition label and measure out the serving size.
Yeah.
A serving is not what you want it to be.
It's really not.
A serving is what is indicated on the package. So I know a lot of people even say like, a serving. That just means however much I want to eat at one time.
Like eyeball the tablespoon.
It's just like there's some people who say a serving is just what I eat in a sitting.
Jesus.
Yeah. I've had people tell me that. Yeah, like I had a serving, like 3 scoops. I'm like, dude, a serving
is on
like,
the label.
Like 10% of what you ate.
It's literally on the label.
Yeah, so
read the label, you
read
guys.
The label, measure out your serving sizes.
Use a food scale. Don't just use the measuring spoons as well. Like use the actual food scale because some people are gonna like take like heaps of tablespoons, even with a measuring spoon, and still puts you over your calories. So use a food scale and track that shit. Per.
Yeah. All right.
What's number 4?
Number 4.
4.
Number 4.
All right.
Eating past a certain time will make you gain weight.
Oh my God. Crazy.
If you eat past 7 p.m., Megan, if you eat
it's the end of the world.
Past 7 p.m., you have just forfeited all chances of losing weight.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't even worry about like sleeping afterwards because you're gonna be fat the next day.
Doesn't fucking matter, right? Like you ate past. It's 7:05.
7:05.
You have just ruined all of your chances.
Are over your calories.
You've just ruined it. So here's the thing, guys. There is this common misconception about you need to try to eat past this or get all your food in before a certain time. And I think that's just due to digestion. Like, I think that, you should try to make sure that you have allowed your food to digest before you lay down. That's one thing I will say.
Yes.
However, eating past a certain time isn't going to affect how much weight you gain or lose overall. Now, it may affect what you weigh the next day.
I'm trying, like, we can specify it as, like, it doesn't alter the amount of body fat that you have right away.
Facts. Okay.
It's not like the weight on the scale because yes, you can eat at like 10 o'clock at night and yes, you're going to gain weight the next day because you're carrying a lot of like, I don't know what you ate the night before, like excess sodium.
There's a bunch of shit in your stomach, really.
Bunch of water weight, okay? And your body hasn't had the time to actually process and digest it. So that's why the number in the scale is going to fluctuate. But what Ben is saying specifically is you're not going to gain body fat only because you ate after a certain time.
Right. Again, when it comes down to losing weight, it's about energy balance, right? So you want to just make sure that you're burning more calories than you consume, or eating right at the amount of calories that you want to consume, depending on, or I'm sorry, eating right at the amount of calories that you do burn in a day. So that's called, just eating at maintenance. You can also lose fat at maintenance.
Yeah, true. Depending on the calorie output.
Yep.
I will also say that looking at this topic in two different ways. Okay, so first and foremost, everyone's schedule is going to be different. There's literally people, I have clients that are nurses and they do night shifts.
Yep.
So I can't be like, oh, just stop eating at 7 o'clock and like starve yourself. After that,
You won't be hungry on your shift.
I know. No, it really depends on your schedule, depends on your lifestyle, depends on what works for you. Like what really matters is you get those calories in. And we can even add into like the topic about intermittent fasting into this because a lot of people think that, okay, I need to fast a certain time. Like that's a part of meal timing. So there's different factors you need to consider when it comes to like meal timing. Yes, there's also benefits to being aware of your meal timing because that's also adding in this factor into the equation that you're being consistent with something.
Yes.
Like not only are you consistent with the amount of calories that you're consuming, the food that you're eating and within those calories, you're also consistent with the time that you're getting those calories in.
Yep.
So the less variables you're playing around with, the more you have predictable results, right? So it's like, let's say every single day this is me as an example, you eat dinner at 6 o'clock and then the last meal that you have is probably like 7:30. After that, like you're good, you're like taking your time getting to bed and you're basically giving your body time to actually digest that. And by the time you're in bed, your body is not focusing solely on digesting your food, but more so on resting and recovering, which your body actually needs if your goal is to build muscle and to lose body fat.
And like if you do eat too close to bed, you might have a hard time resting because that's when you get like that indigestion, all that bullshit.
And then you wake up bloated the next day. You feel sluggish. You
Didn't
feel like
get a good night's
sleep. Your quality of sleep is trash. So yeah, it affects that. So I will say there are benefits to actually utilizing that meal timing. I will say like a tip I want to share with meal timing is just be consistent with it because your body is also releasing like hunger hormones at a specific time when you train it. Just like when you train your body to skip breakfast every single day. You know how a lot of people are like, oh, I don't feel hungry in the morning because you've trained your body not to eat at the time.
Right.
So when you're training your body throughout the entire day, okay, 8 a.m. I'm eating my breakfast, noontime I'm eating my lunch, dinner time I'm eating 6. Your body understands that and it's going to start to release the hunger hormones during that time, which you're also like feeding your body during that time. So again, this consistent flow that you want your digestive system to have is going to help you with, again, that predictable results that we talked about.
Predictable, that's the word I was going to say. You took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah.
Love that. Yeah, so again, essentially your body's a system. Work the system.
Yes.
And like if you can literally train your body and tell it exactly what you want it to do if you are consistent with it.
You literally have more control of that, you know? So your decisions, I will say. So there's benefits to it, right? So just keep that in mind when it comes to meal timing. But it's not the end of the world. Again, if you need to eat late because of your circumstance or situation that you're in, I will say just plan ahead of time. Know your schedule. Know when you can get your meals in so you don't have to put yourself in the position of feeling sluggish the next day, like weight fluctuation in the scale, and you feel like you're like going in this downward spiral. So just plan it ahead of time. That's how you can get your meals in.
Yep, absolutely. So to talk about that myth, does eating past a certain time make you gain weight? We should just say, try to be consistent with your meal timing.
Let's dive into the intermittent fasting part of that though.
Okay.
Because some people are like, oh, intermittent fasting is better than calorie deficit.
Well, I think a lot of the times people do lose weight when they're intermittent fasting because they are in a calorie deficit. Yeah. So I think that intermittent fasting is a structure that has been shown to work for people because, they have constraints. I do think it can be restrictive for some people. I think that it can be useful for some people, but I have heard that some people love intermittent fasting, but I've also heard that some people it destroys their relationship with food because they psychologically think I can only eat at this certain time.
Yeah.
And so they're just like kind of psyching themselves out about what to eat, when to eat. And then, when it is time to eat, sometimes they're ravenous. They're like, oh, maybe I went overboard. Or I just started binging and the feeding window closes and they're just like,
it's just too much control.
Yeah. So some people could do it really well and others can't.
Yeah.
So what's your thought on that?
Well, I was going to tap into like how people say like, oh, intermittent fasting works not in a calorie deficit. But I think this is like an example of like correlation versus causation because a lot of people think I'm losing body fat because I'm intermittent fasting. Like, no, it's not the meal timing. It's the amount of calories that you're consuming no matter what time of day that is. So just wanted to point that out because again, like you can be intermittent fasting and still be in a calorie surplus and still not lose body fat. So
intermittent fasting is just a tool to be in a deficit.
Yeah,
that helps people get in a deficit. So it's not necessarily the intermittent fasting that made you lose the weight. It's the calories, the calorie balance, the energy balance.
Yeah. It's just structure.
Yeah, that
some people need because again, it works for some people. Where, let's say, I don't know, I have clients that like do fasting well because they like that structure.
Yeah.
They don't want to have to worry about like what time am I going to eat throughout the entire day. Like that's kind of like a loose structure, if I want to call it that way, like a loose way of meal timing. Let's say you don't time when you're going to eat. That's a good example. But yeah, for people, it's just structure like what Ben said. It's just a tool. Like you get to choose how do you want to utilize it. And with every tool, you can benefit from it or you can hurt yourself from it. So utilize it well if you are using intermittent fasting. But we're not saying like you need to be intermittent fasting.
Yeah, we're not saying not to intermittent fast either.
Yeah.
Understand yourself enough to do what works best for you.
Period.
I
like that.
Cool.
What's the last one?
The last one. All right. Now here's what has just been
All right. I know what this is. Of course, he's gonna save it for last.
All right, last
this has been a very spicy topic.
Yeah,
let me introduce you to Mr. Papa Pump up here because things are about to get spicy. Because this man, I'm gonna tell you as his partner, he has been talking about this topic for straight 2 weeks now. It's
been like a month.
Oh.
I've been talking about this for like a month.
He's so passionate about this topic. Of course, we're saving the icing on top of the cake because he's going to break this down for
I got to break it down for you guys.
Okay.
And I'm going to try to keep it as simple as possible. But there's this misconception and there's this, this thought. And, it's partially true, partially untrue. I'll let y'all decide. But it's that you don't need to train abs if you are doing compound movements. That is what has been said. I used to believe this actually. When I first started training, I used to believe that because I was doing compound moves.
Actually, me too. I've seen that on the internet.
Yeah, I saw it on the internet too.
Yeah.
I was doing it.
Yeah.
I was just like, I don't need to train my abs. I need to just focus on my core strength. And I had this conception, core strength, if I'm able to brace, if I'm able to carry weight around, then my core is strong and I'm stable. So why would I need to train my abs, right? That's the thought process that I had. I'm like, I can bend or I can squat, 400 pounds, past 90 degrees, ass to grass. Like I'm good. I can deadlift, I can balance during all of my exercises. Why do I need to train my abs with core exercises if my core is strong? But then I had to dive into it. Core strength includes, but is not limited to, the ability to brace and carry a load. We also have to think about the other functions of the core. So there are many different muscles that make up the core. The four main muscles that make up the core are the transverse abdominis. That is what contributes to bracing. You pretty much, your transverse abdominis works quite a bit. It's you work it when you're walking, you work it when you're sitting up. It helps with posture. Then you also have your internal and your external obliques. That helps with also bracing and also rotation and spinal flexion.
So twisting.
Twisting, yes. Twisting and bending your back. And then you also have the rectus abdominis, which is the six-pack muscles that connects your rib cage to your pelvis. And that is responsible for the bending of the spine, or bringing your upper body closer to your lower body, essentially. Okay. So those are the functions, right? The functions are not limited to, but they do include bracing. So we have to understand, if you want to have a strong core, why would you limit what core strength is to bracing? You know, to the ability to stabilize, and just not include the other function, which is the spinal bending, which is the twisting and turning. I believe that core strength is the ability to brace, but is also the ability to carry a load through a range of motion, because that's what strength is, period. Like if you have strong arms, that means you can lift weights through the range of motion, which means bend the arm. So if I want a fully strong core, yes, I want to do my compound moves. I want to do that. I want to make sure that I'm able to stabilize during my compound moves. But if I want to maximize the results and have the strongest, best core possible, why not train, the abs through their range of motion? Why not do exercises that cause me to rotate against resistance or with weight? Why not do exercises that cause me to bend my spine with a load? Why not do weighted crunches? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Why not do leg raises, in addition to all the other core exercises? And I think there's a conception that, it's just like, well, once you get lean enough, you're going to see your 6-pack muscles.
Or like abs are made in the kitchen.
Yeah, so like people are like, well, you don't really need to train those ab muscles, like the muscles that work to bend your spine, because they're already there. But like guys, like there are some genetic outliers, and I'm one of them who doesn't really have to train their abs very much. It's kind of annoying. Like I don't have to train my abs to see them, because again, I built them. I trained them for so many years when I was younger, and then I stopped training them when I was just like, I just need to do core compound moves. But I started training them again, but now I don't necessarily train them as much because I like the proportions. But there are genetic outliers that do have that, that are blessed with that. However, there's a lot of guys that have approached me for coaching. They're like, yeah, like, dude, I lost a lot of weight. I got really lean. And I didn't have much fat on me left, but for some reason I just had a flat stomach and no abs. I was really skinny. I was really tight, but I just didn't have like my abs. They weren't popping the way I wanted them to. Didn't have the look that I wanted. Like that
Superman abs.
Yeah, so they didn't have that. So I was like, okay, well, let's continue to, work in the calorie deficit. Let's continue to do these compound moves, but let's add in some exercises that can help you develop core strength, in addition to, those compound moves through spinal flexion, rotation, and bending. And that's when they started seeing the results that they wanted to see. So it doesn't hurt to train your abs.
You're literally not going to lose anything.
You're not like
I know a lot of people hate training abs. It
sucks. Like it's annoying. Like it's not fun to train your abs. It's hard. But you also have to think of functionality too. Like, well, what's the point? Like, what's the function? Like, why not just do functional movements? Like, your compound lifts, those are all functional. You have to think of what's the first thing that you do every fucking day when to get out of bed. You sit your ass up. Like you sit up. That's how you get out of bed. What's one of the first things that you do, like when you're a baby, is you literally try to sit up, or you try to reach your head up. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to move your core. Yeah. So it's like that is one of the most functional moves that you can do, because you're doing it damn near all the time. I'm gonna do it once this episode gets up to try to stand up. You know what I'm saying? So
you do it.
So yeah, yes, you reveal the muscle that you built in the kitchen, obviously through your diet, but you can only reveal what has been developed.
Yep. So train your abs. I will say this too. Like I told Ben this when I got to my leanest, I was doing a lot of ab exercises too. Because also this was years ago when I was training for powerlifting. Of course, I need to be strong with my lifts, but that also comes with, training your core. So it's not just you doing your compound movements, your squats, your deadlifts, and your what's the other one? Bench.
Overhead press.
Yes, overhead press. It's not just that. You need to make sure that you're isolating that muscle as well. Your abs. Just like every other muscle, you have to train it.
Yep. Yeah. That's it, that's my thoughts on that.
Honestly, if you're someone who honestly believes that the abs are made in the kitchen, take this advice, or not take this advice, but take your own advice. Okay, actually, don't train abs. Get yourself to your leanest and come back to us and tell us, did you actually get the results that you wanted?
Right, and then go again once
Go
you get
again.
lean,
Yeah.
train abs and see what look you like better.
Yeah. Even take a photo and just compare the two.
Yeah, just compare
Because
it.
I've also seen a difference in my clients when they start training abs versus just not training abs at all. Like you honestly can see the definition on it more.
Yeah, you're going to build a more defined six-pack, a more defined core if you actually develop the muscle. So
Develop it.
yeah.
Period.
So again, you don't want to be walking around with underdeveloped abs at the pool.
You just look skinny,
Yeah.
you know?
Yep.
It's crazy.
Yep.
But yeah, train that shit, you guys. I don't give a fuck how many times people tell you on the internet saying like, "Oh, abs are made in the kitchen." Oh, like no, just fuck. Like you have nothing to lose.
And you just got to think about it too. Like they're just like any other muscle. Like, you know, just be like, think about your arms, right? You're going to lose fat around your arms. You're going to see some type of arm muscle, but like you're only going to see what you've developed. So if you want great arms, you're going to train them, right? If you want great abs, it doesn't hurt to train them.
It's just another muscle.
Again, the disclaimer is there are going to be some people who never train their abs who have a great six pack, but there's a lot more people. There's a lot more people who don't train their abs and don't have that six pack. So
yeah,
that's just what
they shouldn't be the people that's telling you the abs are made in the kitchen. I will tell you that right now.
Because I'm one of those people, and I still just from experience,
like,
from experience of the people that I've helped get abs, it's just like train them.
Period.
And I've helped a lot of people get abs.
No, it's honestly insane. It's honestly insane. Okay.
Well, that's it, guys. Yeah. Those are our 5 favorite fitness topics, misconceptions, myths, if you want to call them,
myths
that we busted and, just shed more light on. So, guys, where can they find you, Megan?
On Instagram at Meg Nunez. It's MEAG Nunez, and that's on all social medias.
And I am Ben Pruitt _ on all social media.
That's a double T on the Pruitt.
Yeah, Ben Pruitt _fit.
It's called Papa Pump. So
yeah, that's me. So guys, thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you could please go ahead and rate this show, and if you could also just write a review for us, we would really appreciate it. If you're getting value from this,
give us extra support.
We've been getting a lot of messages from you guys. Just please just go ahead to the scroll down and just write a review for us, letting us know. That would mean the world to us.
5 seconds of your time to just give us the amazing support.
5-star review.
Make it 5 stars, bitch.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you on the next one.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, fam. Thanks for tuning into this week's episode. If you love today's show, don't keep that shit to yourself. Share it with a friend.
And if you want to see more of us, hit that subscribe button. And if you're that obsessed with us, it's Strong and Sexy Show on all social media platforms. We'll see you in the next one.